Hi everyone, it's Bethany, and in this video I'm going to be creating a very nice little candy dish for Halloween this year, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. So I'm going to be using two different colors of adhesive vinyl. I believe they're both the Oracle 651, and one is a nice black color and the other is a nice orange color. So I think they're going to look really nice together. Plus it's really Halloweenish. So I also have a little squeegee scraper tool, a weeding tool, and some scissors. And then I have some clear grid line transfer tape as well. I also am going to cut this out on the Cricut Joy, but you can use this design, or you can do this project on any cutting machine. So whichever cutting machine you have, it will work just fine. And what we're going to do real quick is we are going to just measure the space that we have to work with. And because we have a large space around, I'm not too worried about the width, but I want to make sure my length is just right. So I am going to make sure, let's see, we have about 3 inches to work with. So I just want to make sure that I don't go over 3 inches for my design. Okay, so before we hop into Cricut Design Space, let's go ahead and pull out our question of the day, and we will see what you guys are going to answer. So as I'm crafting today, go ahead and pop down into the comment sections. Let me know what you think of this craft, and also answer this question. Okay, do you prefer a digital planner or a paper and pencil planner? Okay, I can't wait to hear what you guys think about this, because I definitely have a tried and true opinion on this. And if you guys have been here a while, you guys probably already know what that is. All right, let's go ahead and hop into Design Space, and we will get our little design all ready to go. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to be using this little file here, and I purchased this from Design Bundles. If you guys recently watched my tote bags where I made little trick-or-treating bags for my girls, I use this same design. So if you want to purchase this design, I'm just going to show you how you can be thrifty and use one design on 2 different products and make them look a little bit different. So I'm going to be using this, but I'm going to make it just a little bit different from how I used it previously in a previous video, and I'll be sure to link that video in case you missed it, because those bags turned out so cute. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to separate all of this so that it reads trick or treat across instead of down. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to duplicate it 2 times, so I have a total of 3. So the duplicate button is right over here in the top right corner. I'm going to click it twice to have a total of 3 of the same image. So I'm going to bring them down because I'm going to open up my contour box next, and I want to make sure I can see my design as I am contouring. So I'm going to grab the first one, and in this first one I'm going to leave trick and remove or treat. So I'm going to grab my contour box, and contouring is just clicking on parts of the image that you would like to remove from the design. So I'm going to click on the treat, and then I'm also going to click on the or, and then the little design that has the dot and line next to it. And you can see it actually deleting it in real time down here, which is why I like to drag my designs into the lower portion of my screen so I can just see it work. You can still see it here, but sometimes it gets a little tricky if you're working with small pieces, so it's nice to be able to watch it down here. Okay, so then I'm going to go ahead, close that box, grab my second design. I'm going to contour, and I am going to leave the or and remove the trick and treat. So I'm also going to remove this little line and dot just because it's not going to serve a purpose in my design. So again, just removing all those little pieces. I'm going to move this and then all the little middles. Okay, and I'm left with the or. So I can just drag that over here. Then I'm going to grab my last one, and then as you can probably know, I'm going to remove the trick and the or, leaving just treat behind. So I'm going to go ahead, again, just clicking on the areas that I do not want to keep. And we are just about done. Okay. All done. Okay, so I'm left with this right here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to size this up. I have about 1.9. Actually, you know, 1.9 is probably pretty perfect. That's about 2 inches. So I'm going to remeasure what 2 inches is going to look like on my bowl and see if I like that. Okay, so I think that's going to look really nice. So I'm going to stick with the 1.9. It looks like I'm going to have just about 8 inches across. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to then add a couple other elements that I think will make this really, really fun. So I am going to come over to my images and I am going to search for candy. So I'm going to type in candy, hit enter, and then I am going to select, let's see, I'm going to scroll through here. There's so many options, and there's a few that I like more than others. Let me see if I can find them. Okay, I like this candy corn. It's so cute, and I used this in another design that I was doing. And then there's another one that I've used before as well that turns out really, really sweet. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so it's this one right here. So I'm going to grab one of this as well. So I have my candy corn and my other little candy here. And then I'm going to come back to my search bar and I am going to type in spiderweb. Now, I extremely, extremely fear spiders. Like, extremely fear them. So I'm really picky if I'm going to use a spider in my images. I don't do anything super scary. Like, this is a hard no for me. Like, I would never use that because that scares the living goodness out of me. But this is not bad. This doesn't scare me as much. So it's a cute little spider. So I'm going to use this little guy. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and insert all of the images that I have. Let me go ahead and make this much bigger so you and I can both really see how I'm going to design this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the little candies just around here, and these are going to cut out the orange, so they're already color coded, luckily enough. And then I'm going to place one right here, but I'm also going to duplicate this little guy by just clicking duplicate and have another just kind of right there, and I think that looks really, really cute. Okay, so now with my little not so scary spider, we are going to make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to have this little spider web kind of dangling off of the little T for the trick or treat, and I'm going to get it kind of placed so that it looks like it's just kind of coming off of that T, which I think that looks right there really, really nice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to select the spider web and then the word trick with my shift key selected so I can do both of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these together so that they are one piece. So I don't want to attach them because I want to make sure that they actually fuse together and cut as one piece. So I'm going to click weld, and now I have one piece here. I'm going to actually undo that a little bit because it looked like it kind of filled in part of that spider web, which I didn't really like. So I'm going to bring this down maybe just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to try that again and select weld. Oh, it did it. Now it did it in this part. Okay, let me go back and bring it down just a little bit more. And let's see here. Weld. Okay, I like how that looks. That looks really great. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to probably weld these two together just so that they cut, or I can attach those together. Okay, if you guys need a tutorial on attach versus weld, I'll place one in the corner because I did both of those within this Design Space tutorial today. So if you need additional help with the difference between the two, I'll place a tutorial so you guys can see that. Okay, now because my bowl is not perfectly straight, I mean, it looks really straight to the eye, but because it's not perfectly straight, I'm probably going to place these pieces individually on there. So I'm not going to, attach all of these together to cut together. Plus, I'm going to be cutting this out on the Joy, so I want this to be a little bit smaller so that I can fit these pieces on the Joy. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my Joy, and I'm going to say make it. Okay, so I am going to say on the mat, because I am using Oracle 651 vinyl, so I can place any material on the mat, which will work for this, so I'll select done. And then it's going to place my little design right on the mat here. So I can just kind of place this around and rearrange it so that I use as late, as little amount of vinyl as I can, and that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and allow it to do that. Okay, and then for this one, I am going to, that's really funny that they put that on the mat that way because that totally wastes material. I'm going to just go ahead and just edit those so that I can have it cut exactly like it's shown on these mats here because I don't want to waste material. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click continue. It's going to locate my Joy via Bluetooth, and then I can go ahead and select my material. Okay, I'm going to select premium vinyl as my setting for this, and I'm going to go ahead and load my mat. So it's calling for my black mat first, and then when that's done, it will go ahead and prompt me to load my orange mat. Okay, so I just cut down a little bit of that Oracle 651 vinyl so that I could place it right on my mat here. And you can definitely trim down full-size materials to place through the Cricut Joy. I do it often. Quite honestly, I do it probably more than I use the Smart materials. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of scrape that down on my mat to make sure it is all ready to go. Open my Joy and then auto load my mat. Okay, so this one is done. So I will go ahead, turn my mat over, and gently remove my mat away from the material. And then I will just load this tiny little piece. It's not calling for very much, just for my little candy. Okay, go ahead and get that cut. So this is actually going to be a very, very great project for scrap material because I used just about a 2x2 piece here, and then I used about a 4.5 by 4 inch piece for this. So make sure you go through your scrap bin and grab some scrap pieces because you can definitely use some smaller materials to make this bowl. And if you don't know how I store my scrap pieces, I'll be sure to link my video because it's really helped me to be more thrifty with the leftover pieces that I have when I can. Okay, before I get to weeding, I'm also going to take some rubbing alcohol and a little cotton swab, and I'm just going to make sure I clean the surface of my bowl where I'm going to be applying the vinyl. And I'm just making sure that I remove any dust and dirt and maybe oils from hands. I don't know if I mentioned this, but I did purchase this from Target and I just ordered it. It came and I love how it looks. It's really, really neat. And if you wanted to put removable vinyl on this, you totally could. And then after the holiday is over, you could just take that vinyl right off and use this, for Thanksgiving or something else, because it's a really nice intentional bowl that you can reuse for something different. Okay, let's go ahead and start weeding. Okay, so here are my little pieces. So I'm just going to turn them over and I'm going to press down with my scraper squeegee tool. And it's just going to make sure all the little pieces are right where they need to be before I start weeding, just because they're a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this black piece. And I'm going to need to cut these pieces apart, but I prefer to do so after I've weeded because then I can really, really see where my design is. If you try to cut before, it's possible, but you might risk cutting into your design. So I just prefer doing, cutting my design apart into the right pieces once I have done my weeding. So I'm just going to go ahead and go around first, removing, there we go, all the little edges. Okay, and then I'm going to go through and weed all the little middles out. So the spider web is a little place where we have little middles that need to come out. Okay, and the little R here. Okay. And right up here. Okay, so for digital versus paper planners, I'm a paper and pencil type of girl. I love to do paper and pencil. I just have always kind of been that way. But I feel like I'm so techie in other ways that it's one of those things that I'm just old school when it comes to how I organize myself. I love, like, even when I do my content calendar and plan out all my videos for the month, because I do that a month at a time, I do that all with pencil and paper. It's just the way I like to do things. I love to write things down and I love to cross things off, and I even do it with lists. So let me know what you are. My husband wishes I was a digital person because when it comes to planning, because he wants to have like a family calendar and all that jazz, but I just love my pencil and paper. So that is just one thing that I am really passionate about, I guess. Okay, so middles of our little candy corn. Super, super sweet. Whoops. Okay. Okay, and I'm just finishing up this little sweet candy here, and we will be all ready to go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my little scrap pieces here. They're ready for the garbage. And then I'm going to get some transfer tape ready. So now is the point when I go through and cut between my little design and cut out my pieces, because now I can really see where I'm cutting. I know I'm not going to cut into my design at all. So I'm just going to cut these little pieces apart, just like that. I can also trim up any edges that are rather long. Okay, just like that. And now what I can do is go ahead and put these apart. But I welded these together, or I attached those two together in Design Space so I could just place them together. So I will go ahead and keep those together on the vinyl as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure out some transfer tape and place some transfer tape on these little pieces. And it really isn't going to take much at all for all of these little pieces. So, and I'll probably reuse these after I'm done. So what I'll do is grab a little piece here. Okay, just like this, and lay it down. And then I like to scrape it on the top, flip it, scrape it on the back. Okay, and then that piece is ready to go. And then I can do this as well. Okay, place these to the side. And I'll just lay this right on top, scrape on the top, scrape on the back. Okay, and then I have little tiny pieces here that I can do. So I'll just go 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and there we go, the little oar. Okay, so I have my little bowl just studied right here with a little pen cup just so it doesn't move, and I'm just going to start placing my vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my vinyl from this little cutting sheet, and it's on my transfer tape, and I am just going to place, and then I'll just turn my bowl as needed. So I'll probably just start right here and center that the best that I can, just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my scraper tool and really scrape down, making sure I don't have any bubbles, and make sure it really just gets down onto the bowl there. Okay, then I can go ahead and peel up my transfer tape, leaving my vinyl right on the bowl, and then I can reuse this transfer tape, so I'll set this aside to reuse later. And then I'll just kind of place my bowl right there. Okay, and I'll grab my little oar here and just eyeball where I would like it. Looks about good right there. And grab my scraper tool, scrape it down really good. And again, peel off that transfer tape. Very easy, and save that if I would like. Okay, and then I'm just going to make sure that stays put. Okay, so then I can grab my last little word, treat, here. Okay, and just kind of line that up where I would like it. That looks about even. Okay. Actually, I'm going to peel that up just a little bit. Didn't quite love that. Okay. Okay, I think I'll do just about there. That looks good to me. Okay, so I'll lay that down just like that. Okay, and take my scraper tool, really press into the vinyl and just help it lay down really, really smooth. And then peel up. Okay, so we just have our little candies left. That looks really, really nice. I think it was also a good idea to lay these pieces down separately because then you can kind of manipulate each piece instead of doing one long piece and worrying about any bubbles in the middle. These are really easy to line up, so you can just kind of manipulate. I also kind of pulled down on this side a little bit so it could, because it's not completely straight, so then you can just kind of tweak each piece so that it still reads in a straight line, even though it's not necessarily a perfectly straight bowl, because it kind of very subtly tapers out, if that makes sense. Okay, so then I'm going to grab just my little candy corns here, and I'm going to place them right here. It looks really nice. And those are probably good just with a little rub from your finger, but I'll just go ahead and scrape that down and then peel away. Okay, and then our final little candy here is just going to go right on this little side here. Okay, it'll reinforce with the scraper, and I'll peel that. Oops, that didn't quite scrape down quite enough, so I'll go one more time. Okay, maybe I'll pull from this side. Go nice and slow. There we go. Okay, and that's down. Okay, so there we go. That looks really, really sweet. I think that's going to be a really nice little bowl for our Halloween candy this year. I'm one of those people that cannot buy Halloween candy too early, because if I do, then I snack on it, and then I have to re-buy Halloween candy. So let me know if you guys are like that too, because oh my goodness, I just have a sweet tooth for sure. So I cannot wait to put our little candy in here this year. I think it's going to look really, really sweet. All right, everyone, if you thought this turned out really sweet, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. Also, be sure you're subscribed if you're new here. We're going to be starting a gift guide with our Cricut on November 1st, and it's going to run for 15 days in a row. We're going to do 15 days of Cricut gifts that you can make for friends and family, and it's going to be really, really fun. I'm really excited to show you guys all of the ideas that I have for the gift guide. All right, everyone, I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to answer the question of the day, and also let me know what you're crafting. All right, guys, see you soon.